On today's show, is Nico Harrison just a human meat shield for something bigger and more nefarious happening with the NBA, the league office, the Adelsons, moving to Vegas, any of that? I'm going to go through every single conspiracy theory. Let's get weird.
I'm here because I have to be here.
Explain yourself. Sorry.
You are Locked On Mavs.
Great, Rusty.
Your daily Dallas Mavericks podcast.
No one's dying.
Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Dallas is going to get a season
And welcome. You're locked on to the Dallas Mavericks, your team every day. My name is Nick Angstadt, media member and NBA channel manager, covering the Dallas Mavericks for 10 years. Thanks for being an everyday or making Locked On Mavs your first listen. Today's episode is sponsored by FanDuel. Super Bowl 59 is here. There's no better way to make every play more exciting than with FanDuel Sportsbook. New customers can bet $5 and get $200 in bonus bets. Download the app. Head to FanDuel.com to get started. Today's episode, I'm going to do something. We're doing something a little different today because I asked people on X. I'm going to call it X because it felt more like X than Twitter to me when I did this. Give me all the conspiracy theories that you've heard, thought of, believe about the trade of Luka Doncic. And I'm going to go through as many of them as I found fairly valid enough and talk about if I believe them or not and go through each of them because Nico Harrison is right now getting the brunt of all of Mavs fandom's, Mavs fears, ire, anger, frustration. There's going to be a protest happening on Saturday at 12 o'clock before the Mavs game. I can't believe I just kind of promoted that. But it's going to be interesting. I'm excited to see what happens and what Mavs fans do because there is a frustration and an anger and an outrage about what has happened to the Dallas Mavericks. Mavs fans have attached their feelings, attached their hopes to Luka Doncic. He was the bridge from Dirk Nowitzki to this new era. And now that new era is over. He was going to be the source of a next championship, a guy that had homegrown with the Mavericks from rookie to championship. There's nothing more special than having a guy go from rookie to champion. You can bring somebody in, and yeah, the Raptors had a nice championship with Kawhi Leonard, but they still had guys like Kyle Lowry and DeRozan that they felt like were guys that had been with them for a long time and got them there. And they latch onto those guys more than the fans latch onto those guys more than they latch onto Kawhi Leonard himself, who was the main proponent of that championship. And so with all this anger and ire that is deserved, absolutely deserved from Mavericks fans, it's all been just thrust at Nico Harrison. Because he's the one that made the decision. And he came out and said, I made the decision and all that. But what if, and you're going to hear this sound a lot today. What if I turn the conspiracy music on? What if I put the tinfoil hat on and start to go through if there's something else? Because the more I think about this deal and the more that I start to think about what would actually have to happen if I take everything at face value that Nico has said. He really thought that Luka's conditioning was so bad that it wasn't worth keeping him, and he'd rather move on for somebody else who has a history of tons of injury problems, and that guy, Anthony Davis, is better than Luka Doncic right now? Or better for the Mavericks even in the short term than Luka Doncic? I can't believe that. And so you start to go through, you start to think through, all right, well, what if there's something bigger? And when you start bigger, you start with the top, because the only other people that knew about this deal at all were the people that it was proposed to. That's Patrick Dumont, who's part of the Las Vegas Sands Corporation, with the Adelsons and all that. So I think the first conspiracy is that Nico is just a human meat shield for something bigger between the Adelsons, the NBA, or Nike even. And so let's go through some of those right now. Let's go through some of the different conspiracies about the Adelsons first. The first one that I've heard the most, that was one of the first ones that popped into my head. The Adelsons want to move the team to Las Vegas. There's something about what's happening in Dallas that is stopping them from wanting to keep the Mavericks here. And I think this is something to think back to. There's a lot of Mavericks fans so mad about Mark Cuban, about what things Mark Cuban would do, things that he did with the Mavericks. But man, he loved Dallas. He loved the team, and he would do anything to make it better. He would divorce his wife before he traded Luka Doncic. Direct quote, Mark Cuban. He would leave his wife before he traded Luka Doncic away. And you bring in, that now there's new ownership that don't care about basketball that much, and their number one goal is not to bring a championship to the city of Dallas. It's not. So do they want to move the Mavericks to Las Vegas? That would seem to be very tough to me. But Luka's been traded, so now anything is possible now, right? Like I believe that phrase more than ever now, that anything is possible, because I just did not think that was something that would happen ever. And so there's other conspiracies around it. Another one, the Adelsons want to tank the value of the Mavericks to do a solid to a buyer in Vegas. This one's nefarious. This is like some kind of crazy espionage where the Adelsons owe some corporation in Vegas a solid. Like they need to do some kind of deal, and they wanted to bring a team to Las Vegas. And so the Adelsons were like, all right, we'll go out. We'll shell out the money. We've got it. We're good for it. We'll shell out the money. Who will give us an NBA franchise? And we'll tank the value of that franchise, and we'll sell it back to you we'll sell it to you for a cheaper price because they did a solid for them somewhere else. I'm not a business reporter. I could go through so many different things, but this is a conspiracy theory that was posed to me, and I'm not buying it at all. but I think that was a funny one that was sent to me. The other one about the Adelsons, about moving the team to Las Vegas, is one that I kind of do actually believe. Is that they don't necessarily, their end goal is not necessarily to move the Mavericks to Las Vegas. That their goal is to just get leverage enough to legalize gambling in Texas. And this is real. We know that they want this. They have lobbyists right now going in front of the Texas legislature trying to get gambling legalized in Texas, because you know how much Texans love sports. You go Dallas, Houston, San Antonio with the Spurs. I mean, there's Cowboys fans all over the place. There's sports fans. There's just so much sports love here. So many people here. Such a big state. Imagine what gambling would do to the economy of the state and to the economy of a business that could take advantage of legalized gambling in Texas, and especially in Dallas. And we know that when the Adelsons came in and bought the team, one of the things we're like, all right, well, why here? Why now? They saw it as an opportunity. We know this. We know that they saw it as an opportunity to say, all right, we can take this. And Mark Cuban even said one of the reasons why he sold to them is because they know real estate. They know how to build things. They know how to put arenas in, and they know how to build casinos and resorts and all that stuff. And that's something that he didn't know. He didn't know that side of it. And so that's why one of the reasons why he said he sold to them. And so they're supposed to, before any of this Luka stuff even happened, I push that to the side for a second. It's impossible in your brain, but maybe try. They wanted to take the Mavericks, legalize gambling, build a casino, resort, new arena, all that stuff, all one combined thing together so that they could profit off that, which would be a huge profit. Imagine the possibilities. You've got an international airport with DFW. You've got people coming in all over the place. Dallas is right in the middle of, New York and LA in a way, because it's like halfway. And so there's just so many opportunities for people to stay at something like this, to make it a destination. You've got like theme parks coming in with that Universal place in Frisco that's coming. They've got all kinds of different things. Like imagine if you built this as another destination. Think about all the people, like if you've ever had anyone in your life in Dallas, if you live in Dallas, you've had someone in your life at some point say, hey, you want to go to Choctaw? Like you want to go to the casino, the resort, you got to go all the way to Oklahoma. And it's fun. It could be a fun weekend, but like imagine if that was in Dallas and you could just do that. And there'd be concerts and all kinds of stuff happening right here. And so this is the conspiracy. It was posed by Christopher Cravitoli. I see this on I saw it on Twitter recently. Somebody posted it, but he's an attorney and he's got this conspiracy about the Adelsons. And I actually kind of agree with it. And I actually kind of believe it, because he said in one of his premises, the Adelson Dumont push to change Texas to allow their Mavs-centered destination casino resort is going badly in Austin. Despite hiring virtually every lobbyist in Austin, their company Sands Casinos is not getting a bill through the Texas legislature this session. So another loss for gambling in Texas, and it'll be 2 more years before the next legislative session. So they've got to do something. And so are the Adelsons using the Mavericks and say, hey, we'll tank this franchise and we'll move them if we don't get what we want? We'll just that he's saying the conspiracy is that the Adelsons are basically saying, hey, if we can't play the way we want to, we'll take our ball home. and you won't play either with the Mavericks. And to me, that's worse than Nico Harrison just moving Luka because he was mad about his conditioning. That's more of a disservice to a city, a community, a franchise, all that. Think about the jobs at stake. Think about the people involved. Think about every Mavericks fan. To put a franchise like that and use it as leverage to try and get something that you want done legislation-wise just so you could make more money in a state, oof, that's dirty. That is dirty. And the person in me hopes that is not true. But I think it's a fair conspiracy to think about because it makes more sense than Nico Harrison just saying, you know what, I'm not going to believe in Luka Doncic anymore, and I'm going to move on. Coming up, the NBA ratings. This is another big one. Did Adam Silver step in and tell Nico Harrison, you know what? You've got to move Luka. Do I believe it? I'll tell you coming up.
Uh-oh, guess what day?
Today's episode is brought to you by Prize Picks. Prize Picks Daily Fantasy made easy. Go check out Prize Picks and see what is available for you. It changes all the time. Basketball season is ramping up. You got the Super Bowl as well. You can go check out all kinds of different things with that and see what you've got. All you have to do is pick more or less on at least 2 player projections. And if you're right, you can win it to 1,000 times your cash. You can win. There's one right now. You got a free pick where basically Patrick Mahomes only needs to throw 1 yard to win. So you think he's going to throw more than 1 yard? Pick the more on that one. Combine it with something else. You've got to play right there. All you have to do is have at least 2. Check that out. You can win at least 1,000 times your cash. Pair that with another correct pick, and you can get even more. Download the app today. Use the code LOCKEDONNBA to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code LOCKEDONNBA for $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Put down $5. Put that code LOCKEDONNBA. $50 is yours. Prize Picks. Run your game.
Dallas is going to get a seat at the table.
Thanks for hanging out with us on Locked On Mavs, being part of the show, part of the Raccoon Squad, listening every day. If you're listening to this right now, you're still locked into the Mavericks, and you still care about what happens to this team, and you want to join a group of people that are also part of that. You want to get text alerts about the Mavericks. You want to talk to me and Isaac about how you're feeling, all that. Subscribe to our Locked On Mavs Insiders. It's our text line, 214-643-8637, or check the link in the description. Check the QR code, bunch of different ways to get that, and it helps support the show as well. Help support me and Isaac to do more stuff and more content, do mailbags, all kinds of stuff. All right. We're getting a little crazy. We're going through some conspiracy theories about the trade because these things make more sense to me than the Nico Harrison just deciding and being the only person that knew that he was going to trade Luka and just sending him to the Lakers. And the Lakers specifically are part of this because they've been part of many conspiracy theories. The Chris Paul trade, the Pau Gasol trade, Shaquille O'Neal and Kobe Bryant. Conspiracies about all of those. That the league needs the Lakers to be good in order to stay relevant. So one of the conspiracies that came up a bunch when I posted it, the NBA needed Luka for ratings in LA. And the NBA, here's a bonus, is that the NBA also conspired to get Cuban out of the way by giving him an offer he can't refuse. That they did a backdoor deal with the Adelsons somehow. That one I don't believe. But that the NBA needed ratings, this is something you can't kind of look past that. Because this has been a big conversation about the NBA, about ratings, about where the NBA stands, and all that. And that the ratings for the NBA are going down, and that a star in LA does something. They've got LeBron right now, and it's still not working. They need somebody that's relevant right now, somebody that could win a title right now. And to bring Luka there just revitalizes a whole fan base. It revitalizes a bunch of people. In your life, you know a Lakers fan. You know somebody that is a Lakers fan in some way because they're just everywhere. Another conspiracy is that the NBA got beat on Christmas Day by the NFL. And so they tried to take Super Bowl week back. And they're like, what could we do? Let's conspire to see what we could do as a league to take Super Bowl week from the NFL. Because the NFL decided to take Christmas Day. They put that game on Christmas Day on Netflix. They put Beyonce at halftime, and the NFL was like, F you. Pardon the letter. To the NBA. And they just said, we're going to take this day. Oh, Christmas was your day, NBA? That's cute. We're going to take it back. We're going to take it. Because we're going to take everything. We're the NFL. We're the big dog here. And we're not just going to play nice anymore and just avoid your day because it's your day. We're going to take it. So they put a game on Christmas Day with a Beyonce concert at halftime. and on Netflix, and we're like, all right, we're going to push it to as many people as possible. So the NBA then came together and said, all right, how do we take it back? What's the most relevant thing we can do? A trade. Okay, trade stuff is huge for us. How can we take the most attention away from the NFL? What if it was the most bat poop insane trade that could possibly happen? What if we did that? Where are the pieces? Who could we do? All right, there's a Nico and Rob connection. All right, well let's push that a little bit. A star player, Luka Doncic. There's already some tensions and some weird stuff there. They just made the finals. We've seen Kevin Durant leave a team that got beat and go play for a team like in the Warriors. We've already seen crazy stuff like that happen. What if we did that? And what if the NBA came together and said, let's take the Super Bowl week back? Because turn on a sports show right now. Who's talking about the Super Bowl right now? Unless it's an NFL dedicated show, right? Our Locked On NFL and all our Locked On people are talking about it, but internally, in all of our internal chats and stuff, they're all talking about the Luka Doncic trade. Everybody's talking about it. They're talking about the NFL. This is the most relevant the NBA has been, at least like, trends-wise, SEO-wise. Everyone's talking about it. There was a video in my TikTok feed, which doesn't have a lot of NBA stuff in it that often. I tried to I usually try to watch other stuff on it because everything else in my life is NBA. But on my TikTok feed, it was Luka Doncic trade over and over and over again. And there was a video of a girl in there that was like, if you need to explain the Luka Doncic trade to a girlie in your life that just doesn't know sports or doesn't care about the NBA, explain it to them like this. Imagine One Direction at the peak of their powers, and Harry Styles got traded for Kevin Jonas of the Jonas Brothers. And I think Anthony Davis is better than Kevin Jonas. He's probably more like Joe. But I think that the fact that exists, the fact that was a trend, the fact that, hey, if you need to talk about this huge story with somebody in your life that may not understand, you need to explain it to them in some way. The fact that was a trend and the fact that was going on, the NBA has never been more relevant in that way. Never been. And so could the NBA have come together and conspired and be like, all right, let's get together with the owners. We've got to figure out who's willing to put their franchise on the chopping block here. What could we do? Denver? Denver's like, no, we're not doing that. Milwaukee? Like, no, we're not going to do that. Patrick Dumont, the Adelsons in Dallas, we don't care. Do whatever you want. Is that going to make us relevant? Okay. Also, we don't have to pay this guy $350 million? Oh, sign me up. Could the NBA have done that? I don't know. But it's a private business. It's not like, the NBA is a business. It's not like it's this thing that has to, you have gambling and things like that, I guess, that are starting to make it so that they have somebody to answer to, or they have to be transparent about things, but they don't have to be transparent about everything. It's 30 individual businesses that run under the umbrella of one business. So that one was like, I can explain it so well that I can't not believe it in some way. That the NBA came in and was like, all right, we got it. Especially since it happened this week. It happened Friday before, it happened the week of the Super Bowl. The only way that would be more, man, nobody's talking about the Super Bowl right now. Nobody that I know is talking about the Super Bowl in any way. And it's just crazy to think that. And do I believe it? Not really. No, I mean, not deep down. Deep down, if you caught me and you're like, all right, what do you really believe about this? I would not believe that the NBA conspired in this way. It'd just be too big of a thing. It would come out somehow. People are too locked in and all that. But it's believable that the NBA would want to do that. The other one about the NBA and the NBA ratings is that the NBA needed another face of the league. Who's the face of the league right now? Jokic? Jokic is not taking that mantle. He does not care about that. And in Denver, I don't know. Maybe it's not working in Denver, but he's like going to be a 4-time MVP probably. SGA is playing in Oklahoma City, and for some reason, the public just has not taken a hold of this Thunder team. Cavs kind of the same way. It's like, for some reason, like, they're very good. They're great. They're two best teams in the NBA right now. And for some reason, people just aren't latching on to that. Boston and Jason Tatum, people just aren't really latching on. Like, nobody really cared about the finals last year that much. And so they needed somebody in a place that people would care about, that would be either a controversial figure or just a public figure in some way. And Luka is a guy that you can have a story about Luka every day. Can you have a story every day about Jokic? Like besides like he's really good and he loves horses? Like, I don't know. But Luka, you've got the weight thing. You've got the complaining to the refs thing. You've got the crazy numbers. Then you've got, him being out. There's just so many things with Luka. You're telling me he's goosed the numbers of this show a lot. For sure. And so the NBA needed a face of the league, and they said, all right, after LeBron, we need somebody to take over as the face of the league. Steph Curry's getting older. Kevin Durant's getting older. We got to move on to somebody. Let's put a star and a polarizing star in the most, visual place that you could in LA. And that's an interesting one to me. The NBA just needed a face. That's kind of ratings. That's kind of relevancy. That's kind of, all right, how do we get this moving forward? Because when the NBA has been most relevant, they've had stars in places that attracted attention. LeBron in Miami. People keep pointing back to 2011 and 2012 as like when the numbers were the greatest for the NBA. They've kind of been going down since then. The Warriors team was really good for the NBA too. You need some kind of a dynasty in a place that's a big market, basically. It's kind of wild. The NBA ratings one, I don't know. I don't think the league office really came in and said that they really wanted to do something like this. It would just be too hard. It'd be too unfair to the Mavericks as a franchise, but I don't know if they're desperate enough. Coming up, did Nico Harrison know something about Luka? Or is Luka going to do something crazy? This conspiracy is nuts. I'll tell you about it and more coming up. Today's episode of Locked On Mavs brought to you by FanDuel. FanDuel Sportsbook has all kinds of props and odds, things that you can use to get in on the action. Super Bowl 59 is here. One game, two teams, endless possibilities, even being overshadowed by a crazy NBA story in the NBA. Big trade. Should I just... But you can do all kinds of stuff with the Super Bowl. Kansas City Chiefs are still -1.5. That has not moved. That has not budged at all in 2 weeks. That's wild to me. Or I guess a week and a half. That's been the line. Super Bowl MVP Patrick Mahomes +120, Saquon Barkley +250, Jalen Hurts +370, Travis Kelce +1400, Xavier Worthy +3100. Really drops off after Travis Kelce and really after Jalen Hurts drops off. So if you're thinking about any of those and you feel strongly about one of them, put down $5 and you can win $200 in bonus bets if that wins. So check it out. Head to the app or head to FanDuel.com to get started. Bet just $5. If you win, you score $200 in bonus bets. FanDuel.com. Bet with FanDuel, official partner of Super Bowl 59.
Explain yourself.
Sorry.
All right. Let's talk about some more conspiracies. There's a couple about Luka that I saw that I was actually interested in. One of them is that Nico knew something. He knew that Luka's knee is cooked. And he knew that his leg and the issues with his leg were never going to get better. That there's something degenerative or something that's going on with him because he's been dealing with these left leg injuries for a year. And I was concerned about it. And it was always, all right, when's Luka coming back? He misses preseason. Oh, he's out again. He was out for a month on Christmas. And so Nico looked at it. And when did the talks with Rob Pelinka start, did Nico say? A month ago. He said they started about a month ago. And so the talks with Nico Harrison start with Rob Pelinka and Nico Harrison. After Luka's knee goes out, and he's like, all right, let's see if we can do something here. Let's see if we can shock the world, move on from this guy, get at least something before everyone knows that he's going to miss the whole next season, or he's going to, it's going to happen again, or he's going to be Joel Embiid. It's just going to keep happening. By the way, Joel Embiid played great game against the Mavericks. He's out for injury management for this next game. Great. Thanks, 76ers. Appreciate that a lot. But did Nico Harrison know that? And that's not something we'll know until we see. I don't believe this one, but I don't know his medicals. I don't know enough. So it's a conspiracy theory. Another one that's nuts is Luka leaving the NBA for this new Rich Paul league. And with LeBron going. Have you seen this story about Rich Paul, LeBron's agent, wanting to start this league, and he got a couple, didn't he get a couple $1 billion? He got a ton of money. $5 billion. I had to look it up because I just wanted to make sure that I was right about this. $5 billion he's trying to raise. And to start this new league, and that Luka is going to join that new league, and he's going to leave the NBA and join it. And that's a conspiracy that I'm not behind at all, but I just think that one's crazy. Let's do something about Nico Harrison. There's a bunch about Nico. We've talked about him a lot, so I started with something else. But one of them is that Nike and Jordan weren't selling enough or have enough of a marquee talent in any of their signature shoes right now. So they needed to send Luka to the Lakers to even raise his level, to sell more shoes. That one's multifaceted because Nico was the Nike guy. It's like, all right, what can we do to really boost our, like, let's sell some shoes, man. How do we do this? All right, Nico, I think we can convince Mark Cuban to have you take over the Mavericks. You got to do the job for a couple years. But then when the time is right, you send Luka to the Lakers with Rob Pelinka, who you've already got a relationship with too. This is an opportunity for us to raise the level of a star on our roster, the Jordan Nike roster, to the level that we can sell a ton of shoes. And with him on the Lakers, it would sell a bunch. And that is wild to me. That's a conspiracy I also don't believe. It's like way too good to be true on that. Another one is that Rob Pelinka and Nico Harrison like made a pact because they have this Kobe connection and they've been friends for a long time. But they made this pact to get Luka to LA. All right, you can keep him for like 3 years. You got 3 years to make the finals and do something with the Mavericks. Then you send him over here, and then we do this. Because Nico Harrison was Kobe's Nike guy. Rob Pelinka was Kobe's agent. There's a lot of connection there. Another one that is maybe less of a conspiracy and more of just like it could be a fact that is scary, and this one sucks too, is that Nico Harrison's going to leave the Mavericks soon, and he's just not long for this job with the Mavericks. Tim Cato has reported something about this, that he's talked to a lot of people that say Nico doesn't think that he's going to be in this job for very long, and so the conspiracy part about it is that he could be leaving for the Lakers. Imagine that. Imagine. There would have to be some kind of investigation. I've seen a lot of Mavs fans say, let's start the investigation into this, because it would have to happen if Nico left the Mavericks, like in even 2 or 3 years, left the Mavericks and went to the Lakers. Like, imagine. And so if Nico is leaving, whether it's for the Lakers or anywhere, he needed to win now. It's like, all right, let's do this now. I don't care. I got control of this. There's no longer is Mark Cuban hanging over my head on every single little thing, asking me all the angles about this trade. I've got these owners and Patrick Dumont as the controlling governor. He'll say yes to anything I do. So, all right, let's do it now. Let's win now. Because I'm leaving, and I don't care after that. Even in the press conference, he was like, well, long term for us is 4 years, and then 10 years, me and J. Kidd could be buried. What? That was a weird quote. Really weird quote. Another one is that Nico Harrison is leaving the Mavs soon, and so he just did Rob Pelinka a favor. Like, I'm going to leave in a couple years. Let me just do you a favor while I got time. Another conspiracy is that Nico tried to force Luka out and make a trade before just doing it himself. I don't think this is a conspiracy. I think this happened. I think that you've heard of all the people that have been pushed out, all the different people that have left the organization or have been pushed out of the organization. Isaac and I talked about this on a show recently. I don't think it's a conspiracy theory at all. I think this is true. The last one is so wild that I don't believe it for 1 second, but it was just too funny to not include, is that while Nico was trying to force Luka out, he organized the robbery of Luka's house. I saw that on Twitter and I was like, there's no way that happened. It's so crazy and so dumb. There you go, guys. Thanks for hanging out with me on Locked On Mavs. Check out the show. We have a daily show that covers the Mavs 5 days a week, so go check it out. Check out the QR code or the links in the description for different ways to find the show. Guys, thanks so much for listening to Locked On Mavs.
Peace out.
Boom!